If you are experiencing foundation issues, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
We appreciate Dr. John Segars being with us this morning, the superintendent of the Sylacauga City Board of Education. Dr. Segars, good morning to you, first of all.
Good morning.
August seems like a million years past. Now here we are in March, and never would I have thought that we'd be facing something like this, and it's affected a lot of entities, including the Sylacauga City school system.
It has. Of course, everybody's reading the news, and we see what's happening. I can't say we were fully prepared for this, but the good news is education goes on. So we're working through it. We're going to feed children. We're going to continue to educate children, but most of all, we're going to take care of the community.
Talk about, Dr. Segars, how we got to this point and where we are now.
Well, of course, there's been a series of messages that have come out of the state and the nation. Dr. Mackey, the state superintendent, I think we're up to 10 or 11 now for his guidance. Most of it has had to deal with taking care of students, making sure our facilities are clean, making sure that our employees are taken care of, and of course making sure that we're not a contributor to spreading the virus if it lands in our community, and it probably will. It may be here already for all we know. But what we do know is we're not affected yet.
And it's been fluid. You know, the whole situation continues to be fluid even this morning.
Oh, it does. And, you know, you can go right up the road 30 miles and they've got a problem, but they're dealing with it. We know that people travel and they could come back with it. So yesterday afternoon we closed schools. I talked to Dr. Lacey. She said, I'm going to go ahead and close early. And I said, I'm going to follow suit. If that's what you're going to do, we want to make sure that children are taken care of, that families are all on the same timeline, that we get them home as the situation changed rapidly yesterday.
Much conversation about the feeding programs in the schools. Address that this morning.
Well, we will feed all children 18 years and younger. That's what the law says that we can do and we will do. We're going to feed at 3 locations. The first one being Pinecrest Elementary School, the second one being Nichols Lawson Middle School, and the third one being the Verley Collins Recreation Center. That's in Drew Court. But that gives us a good look at the entire city, allows children that don't have a car ride to walk and get a meal. What we'll do is between the hours of 11 a.m. and noon, so you've got that 1 hour window, we will give them a lunch meal, and they will also get a breakfast meal for the next morning. So they're going to get 2 meals. And it doesn't matter what school they go to. If they happen to be a student at B.B. Comer, they can come pick up a meal too. So we want them to come eat. And at the same time, our administrators will be there to check on the children, see if they need some resources at home, a book, maybe some guidance on some things to study, and just to check them out and see if there's anything else they need or anything we can do for them.
It's being dubbed as curbside grab-and-go breakfast and lunch, and that's basically what it is.
That's exactly. We don't want them to get out. We don't want people to congregate. We're not going to have a sit-down meal. So we're going to package the meal so that if there are 3 children in the car, we're going to give them 3 meals. That way each child has 2 meals they can go. I'm sorry we can't feed adults. That's not within our rules, but there are other agencies in town that are going to take care of that. We're working with them. In fact, we're meeting tomorrow afternoon to work through those plans to make sure we've got everybody covered that needs a meal.
Yeah, it's something that none of us have ever been through, and so it's a work in progress at this for sure. And I know you're in close contact with the Alabama State Board of Education as well every day.
Every day, and it goes on almost 24 hours a day. Dr. Mackey has done a great job in his leadership. Matter of fact, I talked to him directly yesterday by email. He told us we were doing the right things. He appreciated the contact that I made with him, just to give him a little situation report on what's going on in Sylacauga. And I told him that, you know, we're not affected yet with the virus. Our schools are clean. Our people are taken care of, and we're instituting the feeding plan, and we're continuing with the education plan, providing materials. He said, great, appreciate the update.
Now, Are the teachers in the Sylacauga school system, along with other workers, are they still on site today?
Well, some people are. We've got some custodians cleaning schools, making sure all the garbage is out. I've got some maintenance workers doing some things, and of course our food service folks are going 100 miles an hour right now, trying to get the food plan jump started. We've got plenty of volunteers out there helping us, but nothing happens in food service until you have those child nutrition experts out there making it happen the correct way, the safe way. So we will draw down our staff to just a few here in a couple of days. So a lot of people are working today until we just figure it out.
Yeah. I'm just guessing, under the circumstances, the feeding of the kids, that's a mammoth operation.
It could be. We could feed up to 2,500 children in this town today, or we could feed something less than that. I'm sure not all children are going to come grab a meal today, but we're going to be prepared to feed whoever shows up. If you're 18 years of age and younger, we're going to have a meal for you.
Let's talk about the educational aspect of all this.
That's the tough one. Right now, we're going to provide materials. We're going to provide materials in hard copy, books, packets of material, but we're also going to provide online resources. Every child in our school system has access to a Chromebook, a device where they can do their work. But of course, those things are hard to do for a first or second grader. You can send them home with a device, but they may not know how to use it. Their parents may not know how to use it. They may not have the internet at home. So there's some value in printed material that we can provide to them. If they come get a meal, it's easy to hand them a packet of material, a book. Yesterday at Pinecrest, every student that was at school was given the opportunity to go to the library and check out 3 books. And if they bring those 3 books back, or when they bring those 3 books back, we're going to give them 3 more. Some of those books may not return to us. It's okay. It's the cost of doing business. I would rather have the books in the children's hands and them reading during the break and not recover the books than not have anything out there. In fact, yesterday afternoon I took 2 books home to my 12-year-old. So I don't know whether she likes them or not, but she's going to dig into them, and we're going to see. So
this is certainly an important time, especially for our juniors and seniors.
It is. So there are plenty of questions to be answered about graduation. At what point do students graduate? Because the mark on the wall is April 6th, the return to school. I don't know whether we're actually going to return on that date. So the question back to the State Department of Education is, when do students qualify for graduation, and when do they qualify to move on to the next grade level? All the standards have not been met. We still have 9 weeks of school to go by the calendar. That equates to about 250 hours of school, and that's how school is measured. So there's a lot of learning left to do in the school year. Some of that will be accomplished through distance education, through those printed materials, through the lessons that we can do on the Chromebook, but we know that nothing replaces that teacher in the classroom.
Yeah.
So
the online education is something that you guys are offering, and is it mandatory that the students adhere to this, or how does that work?
From this point forward to to that mark of the 6th of April, and that's the day that students are supposed to return, there are no required courses, there are no exams, there are no assignments, but we're going to offer it. We want students to stay engaged. We want them to continue learning. We want them to love learning. So we're offering some fun things to do, some games that are educational, some puzzles to do, some reading. It's not, not everybody will do it, but we offer it and throw it out there. After the 6th of April, there's going to have to be a plan where there's some mandatory work that you have to do, just like you were in the classroom.
So employees of the Sylacauga School System, I don't know how they're paid or anything like that, but talk about that a little bit.
Right, and that's a huge concern. We have several different types of employees. You have employees that are on a salary. You have employees that are paid by the hour. We have independent contractors. We have substitutes. There's all sorts out there. We have 275 permanent employees, but given the time of year or any day, we could have well over 300 employees in our buildings at any time. Employees will continue to get paid if they're permanent employees. If they're independent contractors, they have to do the work by the hour before I can legally pay them. And people like substitutes understand that. They don't get paid if they don't come to work and substitute. But for this month, we're going to go with regular payday on the 30th of March. Everybody will get paid just as if they would have been at work on a normal day. It's no different than a snow day. They get paid for days that we're out for weather. And by the governor declaring a state of emergency, it allows us to pay those employees like they're at work.
Dr. John Segars, the superintendent of Sylacauga City Board of Education, our guest this morning. It's affected all sectors of life, this coronavirus, COVID-19, and it's affected the athletic departments of our schools as well.
Yes, it has. Unfortunately, we've had to cancel our athletics. And Dr. Mackey, our state superintendent, has put out that we will cancel all extracurricular events through April 30th. That's unfortunate. Everybody loves spring sports. We have 6 different sports that happen in the spring. They're outside. The weather gets better. Everybody likes it, but we're going to have to hold off because we just don't want the crowds to come together until this problem goes away, and then we can come back together and hopefully get in some ball games.
The Monday through Wednesday 3-day school that was scheduled yesterday through Wednesday, of course, has been canceled, but was the reasoning for that 3 days to kind of help parents get kind of acclimated to where they're going to put their children while they're working?
It was. Coordinating daycare, coordinating transportation arrangements, family arrangements was really important. And that's why the governor and the state superintendent got together and gave us 3 days. What we found out is that the situation changed rapidly over the weekend. Certainly yesterday when we saw fewer than 40% of our students even showed up for school, we knew right then no learning was happening.
You kind of anticipated that, did you not?
We did. We knew it was going to be slim. We thought that we will still open the schools to give those parents time. Some parents already had a plan. Some parents Monday morning didn't know what they were going to do. So, hey, let us hold on to your children and feed them and work them through some education while you get it together, and then we'll hand them back to you when you're ready. Well, things developed quickly. The president even came out and said, we're going to start drawing down crowds even further. Now, the CDC hasn't said that yet, but they're going to have to come together and figure out whether the crowd is 50 or 10 or somewhere in between. But it just made sense to move the crowds outside of the schools, get them cleaned up, get teachers home, because they are, many of them have children and grandchildren as well. So, you've got to take care of your employees, you've got to take care of your staff. It's unfortunate that it happens that way, but I think the sooner that we get, everybody gets on board with social distancing, the quicker we get this thing going and the quicker we get back to normal.
Yeah, that term social distancing, that seems to be the term that we're using. And of course, that's changed as well. But you mentioned early on about the targeted date for the students to return to school. And that's not a fixed date. And it's hard, put your arms around that.
It is. That's the date that fell up underneath the state of emergency that the governor talked about. Agreed upon with the superintendent of education at the state level that we will return to school on April 6th. A week ago, that might have made sense. Things have changed since then. Right now, that is still the stance that the state is taking, but we anticipate that date to move down the road. We don't know how far. We don't know what that looks like. Of course, if you look at the releases from any of the colleges and universities, most of them have canceled courses for the rest of the year in resident form. Many of them have gone to online platforms or canceled altogether. So I anticipate some changes.
Dr. John Segars, our guest this morning on Daybreak, and when I invited Dr. Segars on, he gracefully accepted the opportunity. And these questions that I'm asking him, these aren't questions that they gave to me to ask. He is open with us this morning. We certainly appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
And I guess finally, last but not least, it's got to be hard to plan long term with all this unknown.
Well, yeah, long term is tough, but I've told our staff we have a strategic plan. Our strategic plan goes out 5 years. I told them, don't throw it away. I said, in a strategic sense, things do not change. We continue to take care of students, we continue to take care of families, we continue to take care of our staff and all of our employees, and we continue to do what we can to educate our children and take care of our community. Don't lose sight of those things.
Finally, this morning, talk again about the curbside grab and go. It starts today.
It starts tomorrow.
Okay,
Tomorrow is Wednesday.
Okay.
3 locations: Pinecrest, Nichols Lawson, and Burley Collins. We'll serve from 11 a.m. to noon. There's a 1-hour window. Come drive up, walk up. We will hand you a bag for every 18-year-old and younger in the car or one that walks up. No seating, no congregating. We're going to hand you a bag. We're going to tell you to have a nice day, go home. You can come every day. We're not going to do it on the weekends. It's weekdays. But we want you to come eat and share your needs with us, and we'll help you.
All right. Updates on Facebook available daily?
They are daily on our website, on Facebook. We have a new look on Facebook. We're learning about social media as we go along. We also have a question and answer on there, so your question will be posted with an answer. It will stay up so everybody can see the questions that are asked and the answers that were given, and then we can play off that. So we're experimenting a little bit too on how to engage everybody on our media sites.
All right, Dr. Segars, thanks so much for dropping by this morning.
Yes, sir.
We got more Daybreak just ahead.